You are listening to the Mark Guzman Podcast Experience. All right, so this was a very fun episode to record because two great people, Cynthia and Roxanne. And Cynthia is a brand new agent. Roxanne's been in the industry for 14 years now. And so it was a good mix between brand new agent and experienced veteran. And there's a lot of tools, tidbits, pieces of advice that I think any real estate agent out there can use. And just getting their perspective on various things currently going on in the industry was, I think, was just awesome. So very fun episode to record. We easily went into the 40-minute range with this episode. We could have gone on for an hour, hour and a half, and I definitely will have them back because I think there's a lot more we could have talked about, but this is a great, great first episode with them, and so I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I'm recording. Okay. And we're officially live on another episode of Real Realtors, where I sit down with a few real estate agents or people within the real estate industry, and we talk all about real estate. So my guest today is Cynthia Peterson with Alon Pinnell Realtors. Just got licensed in June of this year, so congratulations on that. Thanks. We were just briefly talking about your first closing, and now you're pending on your second transaction, so congratulations. Very exciting. I remember that time. And we also have Roxanne Adams with Genesis Real Estate, who, did you get into the business same year I got into it?
2004.
Okay, so I got into it maybe 6 months before you did.
Right.
So can you believe it's 14 years, but almost 14, 15 years.
You're disclosing my age live?
Well, no, I'm not disclosing your age, just in the business.
You say 14 years.
So you were 12 when you started?
Actually, I was 4 going on 5.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I want to thank the two of you for being on the podcast today. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover a few topics from generating leads. I know being a new agent and an experienced agent, it's going to be a very good episode to get both of your insights in how you generate leads and with the two different companies. And then we'll talk about a couple of current topics going on in the real estate industry, and basically just want to get your opinion on those topics. So let's start off with getting into Cynthia as a new agent. So how did you get into real estate?
Well, funny enough, my husband and I were looking to buy some property a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago. And we said, we really want to be informed and be able to look at the contract and understand it. And so I started taking community college classes at DVC. And I thought, well, this seems like a great opportunity to dip my toes in and find out what this industry is all about. And so I started interviewing with a couple of folks like appraisers, property managers, and real estate agents, and seeing, what their day-to-day was like. And I got to be mentored for a couple months with an agent, and I really think that this is what I was meant to do, to be able to help people and change lives through real estate.
So you actually went and shadowed people before getting...
Absolutely.
Okay. I think you're the first person I've heard actually say that. Did you do that, Roxanne?
No.
I didn't do it either.
No, I did not do that.
That's actually really good. A lot more people should do that because there's a lot of people that get into the business and then realize it's not really for them.
Yeah,
exactly.
I've heard that. And the reason that I was really strategic in that was because this is not my first or second career. This is my third career. So I really wanted to make sure that this was what I wanted to do long term.
What did you do before?
So I am a Jill of all trades. I've been a server at a restaurant. I've been a medical assistant, a dental assistant, and I did a lot of volunteer work through AmeriCorps, which is essentially like a domestic Peace Corps. So just a lot of service type industries, yeah.
Okay. Roxanne, how did you get into real estate?
Oh my goodness, that was 14 years ago, Mark. I honestly
Do you do a home study or do you take classes?
I actually went to school.
Okay.
Not at a college. I went to what was it? Century 21 had a program, and you actually go to class and you sit in class and you do it that way. But I just got into it like a fluke. One of my girlfriends was like, "Yeah, we should sell real estate." And I'm like, "What does that even mean? Who sells real estate? What's real estate, right?" I mean, I'm like 19, going on 20 years old. I don't know what this is, right? She's like, "Yeah, we should do it. We should try it." Because she knew someone who sold real estate, and apparently he did well, right? So she's like, "We should try it." So I was trying it. So here I am 14 later. I'm still trying it, though, right now.
Not trying it. You're killing it.
Yeah.
I'm still trying. No, but seriously, I started off as I'm going to try this.
Now, Cynthia and I were talking before you walked into the room of how, and I was telling her how real estate today is so different from 13, 14, 15 years
so
ago.
different.
And I remember when I first joined here at Security Pacific that we had the MLS on the internet, but they were still distributing those MLS books. And those were hilarious.
Imagine?
I know, because they would go out once a week and have every property listed for sale. And they would have all information, but it's once a week, so you didn't know if it's still available,
Right.
if it's
Oh my
pending
gosh.
sale, and you would have to follow up with people. It's very
It's so
interesting.
old-fashioned, right?
Well, Cynthia was saying their office has a MLS listing book, like
Oh yeah, we kept one. It's like it's got its special
It's
place.
an antique.
It is. Yeah, we were saying it's like a relic. It really,
Right.
really is. You just don't see them anymore.
No way.
And I can't imagine that because sometimes I go on the MLS like admittedly 5 times a day and I'll look at the same property. Okay,
Right,
have they
right.
changed it?
The
Is it on?
pictures,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
updates, yeah. And
can't
before,
imagine.
I remember going to go show homes, right? So you have your list of houses. You're going to show 5 houses that day. And you're just hoping and praying they don't want to throw in like a 6th or 7th house because in order you're going to these houses. And we didn't have like MapQuest and where we're going and how we're going to get there.
Oh, that's
or are we
right.
going to be able to look it up to see the showing instructions?
we had
You
the
can't-
Thomas Guide.
Yeah, you can't look it up
Oh,
to see
wow.
the showing instructions. So you're thinking, I hope they don't say, "Oh, the one across the street's for sale. Can we see that one too?" Because you have no idea how to get into it, what are the showing instructions or anything. But today, you're out showing homes, and they're like, "Oh, Roxanne, by the way, look at the for sale sign." I'm like, "Oh, hold on, let me just pull that up real quick," right?
Yeah. Like
How
within
did we
2
do
minutes.
that
Yeah.
back then? I'm just sitting there thinking, "Oh man, they're gonna want to see that one." I have no idea how to get them in that house, right?
And the Thomas Guide books, you'd have to
Oh
go to
my
page
gosh.
394, look at section B4 or something like that.
Wow.
And that's how you did navigated the area through those maps, and you'd have to
Then they had
update the
MapQuest.
book every year because
Oh my goodness.
exactly,
Then
yeah.
MapQuest came along, and now you're printing all your MapQuest in order for the houses you're going to show, and you're thinking, "Oh, don't throw in an extra house because it's going to mess up my MapQuest."
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. MapQuest was genius when it came out, but now I think Google Maps is just taking over.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just the navigation in my car, I'll die without it now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I wouldn't know where to go. Now I
No
feel
way.
so spoiled.
Well,
So
see, that's what I was
spoiled.
telling you before we started recording, that real estate's so much easier today
So
compared
easy.
to even 15 years ago.
Gosh, that's incredible.
Now, let's not say easy, though. It's not easy, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I think, honestly, the clients have so much more tools at their fingertips that I don't want to say that they don't need us as much, but they kind of already know what they want. They know how to pull up the houses. They know which houses they want to go look at, right? And then they call you in to say, "Hey, I want to put an offer on this house.
Okay.
Or I need the details on this house. I need the disclosures when the offer date is." So we're kind of like write the contract, give them all the
Yeah.
information, but they know how to go out and look at houses. They don't really necessarily need to jump in your car and you have to drive them all over the place anymore like we used to have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a perfect transition into something I love to talk to agents about, is how you feel about, because the MLS and all the big brokers are always for so many years about protecting their data, MLS data, our listings. This is our information. And then there's companies like Zillow, Trulia, Hotpads, Realtor.com that will syndicate all this data and put it out there. And now you see like Zillow or the company Open Door, where people can just go online, enter in the price that they want. They'll get an offer from the Wall Street Bank and they can sell their property directly online, right? Now, a lot of people are, like in the real estate industry, are really not happy with these companies. Right. And it feels as if everyone's trying to protect the data, protect their business, as opposed to looking at it as an opportunity to evolve the industry. So it's so I want to get your opinion. And Cynthia, being someone so fresh into the industry, I really want to get your opinion on how you view this. There's realtors that talk about they're going to be obsolete in the future if they let companies like Zillow and Open Door continue, because basically they're going to take away transactions from the agents. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
Well,
because like you said, buyers and clients today have every tool at their fingertips. Mm-hmm. Does that take away from you being a good realtor or the value that you bring to the business?
I don't believe it takes away the value we bring to the business, because first of all, you have to make sure you are of value. Oh, I'm not close enough. First of all, again, I believe you have to make sure that you are of value, right? Because they do have all of these tools. But again, to me, it's like this industry is something you still have to understand. You still have to know. There's so much behind the scenes. It's not just, hey, let's put an offer on the house and let's pay for it, right? Mm-hmm. No, there's inspections. There's contingencies. Does the seller need to sell this house to buy another house? I mean, there's so much that we facilitate throughout the transaction, and it's not easy. Like, everybody thinks it's easy. They see us on Facebook. We're giving the keys to our client, happy new homeowner, but they didn't see everything we went through in between that.
Absolutely.
Right? So while, for example, if I'm not a realtor and I'm putting my house up for sale, I have to go to work. I have to take care of my kids. I have to do all the other things I have to do. Do I really have time to sell my house, deal with the buyer, deal with the inspections, deal with all the things that us realtors actually deal with? No way. No way. I feel like we have huge value.
And I think you're hitting it right on the nail right there, time. Yeah. I mean, if you really look at every business out there that's successful, the main reason why customers use them is to save themselves time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're buying a product, you're buying a service or whatever, but in the end, it's time. Why am I going to hire an attorney? It's because I don't want to spend the time learning the law and doing all the paperwork myself. Exactly. Why do you hire a property manager? Same thing. I don't want to spend the time in managing the property. So, Cynthia, as a prior to getting licensed, you were a consumer.
Yeah.
So, how do you see that argument, that whole debate, from your perspective now coming into the business?
Well, it does give buyers that false. Yeah, it's like a falsehood of, oh, I don't need anyone to help me through this. I have all the info right here. Why would I need a realtor? Well, sure, when you go to an open house and, the open house isn't actually open, it's already sold, you start to feel like, oh, maybe I would have known that if I had a professional with me. It's a total falsehood of, I got this. There's so many things that we bring value to. I mean, just knowing terms, we were going to do FHA. So are these people taking FHA? Are they taking only conventional? Nowhere on Zillow that I'm aware of does it show what terms they're taking. So absolutely, it's a different kind of value. It in my opinion, makes us more valuable. And it's really interesting to see the way things are going now with sites like Open Door, or with Zillow trying to do instant buys. They're already implementing that down in Arizona, where, these investors have bought up so many parcels and are now doing instant buys right from the website. It's mind-boggling. It really is. And as someone new, I'm so much more, I feel so much more flexible to it and think, well, I'll just, move along with it and transition how I may need to. But in my office, I can see a lot of resistance. I work with some amazing agents that have been in the industry, not to age anyone, but decades, that have been there since the MLS sheets were faxed through. You didn't even have them printed out, you know? So I see a lot of folks in that bracket saying, wait, stop, pump the brakes. This isn't how it's supposed to be. So I think people are having to learn to meld and shift and just see it differently.
So I love the perspective here because you mentioned you're more open to it because you're fresh into the business, into the industry. You're coming in. It is what it is. They launched it before you even got licensed.
Exactly.
So you're more flexible. You're open to it. You're dealing with it. And there's a lot of people that will want to fight it as opposed to, hey, this is just the way it is. It's adapting. Time to adapt your own business. So
Right.
key number one is you need to keep adapting your business with the times because there's always going to be disruptors. There's always going to be change. So let's talk about generating leads. Roxanne, let's start with you because I know you have a very interesting model when it comes to generating leads because you're literally by referral only.
Literally, yes. By referral only. I started off that way. I was trained that way, and I have just been going that way for 14 years. And honestly, it's just gotten better and better. You know, I remember a long time ago, well, many years ago, Noreen Buller. I'm gonna use her because she told me I was working with tons of buyers, and I was getting a little frustrated. I'm like, gosh, all I have is buyers, 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 which is fine, right? But you know, it's a little bit tougher with buyers. Sellers were much easier. And she told me, don't worry, Roxanne. 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to be a listing agent. You're going to have tons of listing because all of these buyers that you're putting in homes are then going to, in turn, sell their house and get their next house. And if you do what you're supposed to do, keep in contact with them, you know, make sure you're up to date on everything going on, you know, in their life and what's happening. She goes, those are going to be your listings. And today, I kid you not, I feel like I even need to go tell her this. She was so right. All the listings I have now are all my buyers that I sold houses to 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And not only are we selling their homes, now we're putting them into new homes. So, like, I'm busier than I've ever been, right? But at the beginning, of course, everything's a struggle in the beginning, right? I mean, entrepreneurism takes sacrifice.
And long-term planning because you're talking
Long-term.
about 6-7 years
Right.
and you've been in the business now 14 years. So it's patience and consistency of doing the same thing
And
over
sacrifice.
and over again.
It's sacrifice. Like I said, a long time ago, I was that buyer's agent. I mean, I still am a buyer's agent. Don't get me wrong. I love buyers. You know, I love giving people the key to their new home. But back then, it was just like, wow, can I get a listing? Please, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's paid off. All of those buyers that I went out with for hours and hours and drove around with my map quests in my hand, you know, have continued to stay in my database. I've done what I was taught through Brian Buffini system and many other coaches and mentors that I've had throughout the years. And I've just consistently stayed in touch with everyone. And that's how I stay in business, is all by referral and networking. Lot of networking.
How important do you think networking is?
Huge. And not only just networking like with people that are going to be potential buyers or sellers, but networking with realtors. You have to know the realtors in the industry.
Absolutely.
You have to know who are your peers, who are these people I'm going to put an offer on their listing. And when they receive my offer, are they going to know my name? Like, if I put an offer on, you know, Mark Guzman's listing, he knows who Roxanne is, like, you know, right? But if he didn't know who I was, he'd be like, oh, it's just an offer coming from this agent, you know. But you have to network. It's huge. And I've received so many referrals from other realtors because they know me, because I'm out at places, because I'm being active in the community, because they know I'm doing a good job for the client. They feel like, let me refer the client to her. I know that the client will be taken care of. And that's such a great feeling to get a referral from an agent.
That's
You know,
incredible.
that's huge. Yeah, that's huge.
So you mentioned networking, and when most people hear networking, they think of some kind of mixer, some professional industry mixer that's done in the late afternoon or sometime during the day for lunch. And I think there's enough sources where people can find those type of organizations like the local association Realtors, the Young Professionals Network, NAREP, ARIA. But how do you network to pick up clients?
Network to pick up clients. Okay, well, I go to all of my clients' housewarming parties. That's huge. You always want to be at your client's housewarming party. I have picked up every time I've gone to a housewarming party, I have got at least one client from a housewarming party. So that's huge.
Because they're pitching you to all their friends and family.
Hello, I'm in this house today because of this girl over here, Roxanne. Right?
That's awesome.
Huge.
Yeah.
So housewarming parties. I stay in contact. I mean, I'm at the kids' birthday parties. I'm at anniversaries. I'm at weddings. I'm at everything. And I feel honored that they'd even invite me, right? But I feel like it's because I build more of just a business relationship, but I always build a friendship. Always, no matter what, you know?
Okay.
We're friends. I always want them to we're friends. Even when we're working together, I'm like, yes, I'm your realtor, but you can talk. We're on Real Realtors here, right?
Yeah.
You can talk to me real.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Tell me, how do you feel? What are you thinking? What can I do for you? You can keep it real with me 100%. This is business, but talk to me like I'm your friend, because I am your friend. I want to make sure I'm here to help you achieve your goal, your long-term dream and your goal. That's what I'm all about. And I want to be in your life forever. So let's do this.
Yeah.
You know?
And
it's been successful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're driving around people for hours.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
We're having conversations. We're talking. And let me tell you, the best thing, you guys, put a cooler in your trunk with snacks and drinks, not alcoholic beverages. Okay, guys? But for their kids, have like string cheese, you know, granola bars, little gummy packs, gummy bears, stuff like that. Make it fun. You know,
Absolutely.
have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. Cynthia, so how is it being a new agent? What are you doing to generate leads? And I know you're with a really big company that does a lot of training, that does a lot of now, do they supply you with leads also, or do they expect you to go out and get your own leads?
We're expected to go out and get our leads. Yeah.
Okay. So how are you doing that?
That's a great question. I'm doing as much networking as I absolutely can. There's a lot of groups that I've gone into that are industry specific that already have realtors in them. But even so, I still go back and visit that group because, you know, it's just about keeping your face out there, right? And also, I am really, really involved in my community. Like, for example, we just had Pleasant Hill Community Service Day. I was there from the...
That's great.
Yeah, it was such a better, well-received conversation to have with neighbors when you're there doing good together.
Exactly.
It's just, you know, it's not, you don't feel stiff. You don't feel like it's that you're selling anything. It's just, hey, I'm your neighbor. And that just opens up a different avenue of conversation. Other ways that I've been getting leads is I go through the MLS every morning, check out the expireds, check out the ones that are getting ready to expire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of research online. And so when I'm not out, you know, showing my face and wearing my name tag everywhere religiously, no matter where I'm at, I'm just online.
So good. You're such a good agent.
So we were just talking about the name tag.
Yeah,
so
I walk in with no name tag.
So for the listeners, Cynthia's wearing her name tag with Alon Pinot on it. Now, you said you actually get a lot of people that come up to you and will talk to you about real estate because of your name tag.
It's incredible. I'll be in the supermarket getting my yogurt, you know, and people will just come up to me and say, hey, this house just sold down the street from me. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about it? Or what's the neighborhood look like over there? And so, again, it's that warm conversation. They're approaching you. You're not having to, you know, feel like a salesperson whatsoever.
Right.
It's just so much warmer.
Yeah.
And it comes from a different place. It comes from
Absolutely.
them wanting to know more, which is awesome because I love really just getting to educate people. Like, that's where I feel like I shine, is being able to tell them, like, hey, let's sit down and chat about that. And when it's someone that approaches you, they're so much more apt to saying, sure, yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely. And I believe, we're not salespeople. I don't believe I'm in sales. Yeah, we're selling homes. I get that. But honestly, a house sells itself. I'm just there to help facilitate, make sure you're making the right decision, and guide you through the process. But I don't really feel like I'm in sales. I've never felt like I've pressured someone to buy a house.
Certainly. Certainly.
People are more excited about it. They're in there. They can't wait to sign the contract, and fingers crossed they get their offer accepted, right?
And sometimes you have to tell them to slow down a
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
And say, wait a minute, we need to do inspections and
Right.
make sure financing is in order. Yeah.
I mean, they're excited. Like, we're not really in sales. We're in the industry to help people. That's it.
Certainly. Yeah. And the reason that I said sales is because being that I came from the consumer standpoint, it's a total mind shift.
Right.
I really thought that, real estate agents were out there to sell me a home, and it's a total mind shift.
Yep.
Now, what are some challenges that you as a new agent have dealt with just in the last few months?
Fun question. Okay. Well, I've definitely had weeks where I felt like I just keep hitting brick walls. I had this great client that I was trying to help buy a home in like the Richmond area, anything, on this side of the pass over in Martinez. And we just kept getting shut down by all cash, no contingency offers. So it took a little while to learn the market over here as opposed to where I'm used to working over in like the Orinda side, that side of the hill. So learning the market was a big challenge. This client was a referral family friend. And so I had barely dipped my toes into the industry when he said, all right, let's go buy a house. I was like, woof, okay,
Wow,
let's
that's
do it.
Great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so it's, I definitely believe in the referral system as well. Other things that have been challenges is I put a lot of weight on myself. And so if something goes awry, it's like, oh, shoot, what did I do wrong? As opposed to saying, what happened here? How can I change? So taking things from a standpoint of that was a failure to that was an attempt, and how can I make a different attempt, or how can I make that attempt not have been just for nothing?
So that's a good one, because I think in being in the business now almost 15 years myself, I think that never really disappears. That there's always a little part of you that say, well, how could I have prevented this, or how could I have done this a little bit better?
Of course.
But there are many things that are completely out of your hands. And so one of the best quotes ever, and I saw this the very first year I got into real estate, is don't focus on the problem, focus on the solution. And if you have that mindset at all times, you'll be surprised how much you don't care when a problem comes up. You're like, okay, that's the problem. How do we fix it? And you go right into fixing the problem, as opposed to, focusing on the problem and focusing on what you might have done wrong or what someone else did wrong. Because you're going to deal with so many people to the point where there's some people that should not be in the business, period. Whether they're a loan officer,
Seriously.
a title rep, a real estate agent. There's a lot of people that should not be in the business, but they are. You're going to deal with them at some point, and it's just, okay, it's a problem. It is what it is. How do we solve this?
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and that's part of growing too. It's part of growing. You have to question yourself, right? If you didn't question yourself on how you could have done better, are you truly growing? Right? You have to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you're just like, oh, whatever, it just happened that way, and you just don't care, then you're not serious. So that's good that you're thinking the way you're thinking. Right?
How do you,
Good.
Roxanne, how do you overcome that challenge of problems that arise on transactions?
You know what? After this long, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't worry about things no more. I don't. Because most things that I'm going to tend to worry about are things that are not in my control. You worry about the things that are not in your control, because I feel like on my part, I've done everything I'm supposed to do in the transaction. And typically it's like up to just the lender to fund it, or something comes up that's completely out of your control. I have learned to let go. You have to let go of these things. You cannot do anything about them. And I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, everything always works out. It always works out.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think And I think the key too is to stay in touch and communicate with your clients and let
Oh
them know
yeah,
what's going
absolutely.
on. The problem is when you don't communicate the problem, even if you tell them, hey, I'm working on it, here's a problem that came up, they appreciate it, they know what's
Oh,
going on.
absolutely.
But the problem is when you don't say anything and then they later find out about it from you or from a third party and they're like, how come you didn't tell me this earlier? I could have probably helped. And then, I think clients just appreciate the transparency. Hey, let me know when there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And some clients are going to freak out over something very small,
Right.
and that's just some
And some
people,
don't.
and some
And some
don't.
really don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, but real estate period has to be transparent between all parties. Lender, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the clients, everything has to be transparent. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if everything's on the table, we know where we're going, we know where the situation is, you just have to let it go. You just have to let things work out the way they're going to work out. Because in the beginning, I expect to the lender, like, on him, like, okay, our contingency date is due now. You need to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. He's like, okay, Roxanne, well, something came up. I'm like, oh my gosh, hurry, hurry, hurry. And then, like, I'm stressed all day about this one paper we're waiting on. But why am I worried about this one paper that I have no control over on when it's going to come in? I
Mm-hmm.
just need to call the listing agent, let the agent know we're waiting on this one paper. Please let your seller know everything is fine. But I'm so worried that the listing agent is going to be mad at me. Now, I just get over it. I'm not worried about anything no more. I just let everybody know what's happening and let it go.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, and a final piece of advice too is to get away. Make sure you budget properly. Treat the business as an actual business. I know a lot of agents don't, and they get into the habit of depending on the very next paycheck and the very next commission check, and so they tend to. I mean, if you get yourself in a situation like that, you tend to kind of, I guess, um, what's the word I'm looking for? You tend to, um, I think, do a disservice to your client and to everyone in the transaction because there are agents that will, regardless of the problem, instead of trying to focus on the solution, will just kind of try to keep pushing the transaction along to eventually get to the
Oh, right.
paycheck.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think
Not good.
if you just budget your business, um, and just don't focus on the money, it eventually comes.
Oh,
Awesome.
absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about. I don't know if either of you have heard, but the California Association of Realtors, in at their fall meeting in San Diego just a few weeks ago, they voted and decided to launch a 2018 ballot initiative to create homeownership opportunities for young families and preserve tax savings for seniors. Have either of you heard of this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So, just to give a brief rundown of this ballot initiative for listeners, currently there's Prop 13 that keeps your tax bases at 1% of the assessed value. And Prop 60 and 90 allow you, if you're 55 or over, to transfer that Prop 13 tax base to another home as long as you're purchasing down and within the same county. Now, Prop 90 allows counties to participate from county to county. Now, the problem is only 11 of the 58 California counties participate in it. So, not many. In fact, Contra Costa County here does not participate in Prop 90. So, the ballot initiative would basically allow everyone over the age of 55 to transfer their tax bases to any property in the state of California, and they could buy up and they can buy down. And so I wanted to get your take on this, and if you thought it was a good idea, if it's a good idea, a bad idea, have you already discussed this with various clients, and what's their feedback?
Well, I just heard about it at the big event. I believe that was like 2 Wednesdays ago.
Okay,
I was.
I didn't see you there.
Yeah, I was
I mean, there were a
there.
lot of people there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great event.
It
Were you there?
was.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a great event.
yeah.
So that's the first time I heard about it. But that's incredible, isn't it? I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, granted, one day I'm going to be 55 years old, right? And I'm going to hope I can use this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, and someone would be able to do it as many times as they want to.
Exactly, yeah. I'm trying not to think about 55 just yet, but for everybody who is.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing that they're worried about, the opposition, are going to be the counties and the various organizations that get funding from county taxes that would say, well, if there's someone that's incoming into the county and they're moving their tax base, now we're going to lose revenue. But of the 11 counties that are already doing it, they haven't seen any loss of revenue. In fact, if someone moves out of the county, that allows another family to come in and buy it at the higher tax rate. Or if someone is moving in and they're moving their tax bases from another county to this county, their tax basis might be higher than the person that's moving out.
Yeah.
Especially if you're moving from, let's say, the Bay Area
Right.
to a county like Mendocino, right? Your tax basis here might be higher than Mendocino County, even though you bought, 5, 10, 15 years ago, depending on the value of what you bought at, right?
I think it's a great idea. It keeps everything flowing, moving, because people are going to be, complacent in their house because they can't move because of the tax base.
Yeah, and they're estimating there's going to be an extra 40,000 transactions.
That's fantastic.
Because of this initiative.
Right. I think it's great.
Absolutely. And it's going to help out more than the 55 and over, because right now there's so many people.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that want to buy that house that the 55 and older person is living in, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, when I got into the business, the average person moved every 5 to 6 years. Now it's an average of 14 years.
Wow, that's
now.
pretty incredible.
Now maybe I should clarify. This is not just moving. This is like home ownership. You're buying and selling a house was every 5 to 6 years. Now it's every 14 years on average. And they said 70% of senior citizens have not sold their house after in the 21st century.
Right.
70%.
Wow.
So this initiative, if it works as they think it will, is going to create a lot more sales, a lot more people moving, and it's going to open up a little bit of the supply. But we're still short a ton of units here in California, but I think it'll help.
Yeah, but it gives people that opportunity to actually be able to move. That's great.
Absolutely.
That's so exciting. Another house,
is.
Right?
Yeah.
A new house is always exciting.
For sure. And it's going to help out. Again, I see it helping out in so many different ways. It's going to help the housing market, but also the landscapers, the moving company, the cleaners.
Everybody involved.
It's going to be really great for California, I think.
Yeah, inspectors, home, termite, roofers. What else? Title
Renovating
companies,
homes. If someone's been in their house that long, it might be a little bit run down.
Yeah.
Maybe improving the neighborhood.
I think it'll be great for appraisers too. I was following an appraiser. I was shadowing him for a little while. And what I saw was that...
You were not kidding. You shadowed everyone in the industry.
I did, yeah. He was telling me, there's a lot of folks that aren't taking that final step into becoming an appraiser because the market's not there. And so I think it's just going to have a ratifying effect. It's going to be awesome.
So the appraiser industry is going to be very interesting to watch in the coming years because you have like Fannie and Freddie that are allowing a certain percentage of their loans to have automated appraisals. So they're not even sending an appraiser to the property. They're going off of automated valuation models. And as these models keep improving every year and becoming more accurate, I had this conversation with Dwayne Vizanow from Travis Credit Union. He was here on the podcast probably about a month or month and a half ago. And we were talking about this, like the appraisal industry, because there's companies out there where you can take a picture of, let's say, your kitchen and you submit it to this software company. The software automatically, now this is not a human being, it's a software, a bot that will go through the picture and identify if you have tile counters, granite counters, laminate floors or tile floors, stainless steel appliances. It'll identify all the features within the photo. So imagine if you want to refinance or get an appraisal done, all you have to do is submit a photo of the interior of the property. The software identifies all the features, because that's one of the biggest problems with Zillow's estimates,
Right.
and is that, well, they don't know I've upgraded the inside of my house, right? Well, now if you can submit photos and this bot identifies all the upgrades, now they can tweak the AVM to where it's very accurate. Now they don't need appraisers anymore.
Wow.
So that's going to be
Whoa.
it's going to be a very interesting industry to watch, because eventually I think it will go that route. I mean, I would peg it 10 to 15 years away from that being fully the way all the banks go. But yeah, it'll be interesting to watch.
Now, will they still charge the buyer $500 for that appraisal?
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
That's how the
Wow.
bank's going to justify buying the software. Yeah, by keeping that fee up there.
All right, you're gonna get our money back.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's the time that we have. I want to thank the two of you for being on this episode of Real Realtors. And if someone wants to contact you and work with you, what's the best way to contact you? And actually, let's start with Cynthia.
Okay. Well, like I said, I work with Lon Pinnell Realtors. So either phone call to my personal cell, or business cell, I should say, at 415-802-4000, or you can shoot me an email at cpeterson@apr.com. And I'm all over social media sites. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest even.
Okay,
Oh, nice.
perfect. Roxanne?
Oh, Roxanne M. Adams. You can call me directly on my cell phone, 510-815-0356. Genesis Real Estate, but I've been 2 years with Prudential, 12 years with Security Pacific Real Estate, and now 2 months with Genesis Real Estate.
Okay, great. So, again, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Mark.
Didn't I tell you this was going to be a great episode? So hopefully you took one or two pieces of advice that you can implement into your own real estate business. So thank you again to my guests, Cynthia and Roxanne. Definitely go check them out. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can, and give them a shout out. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lubman. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please rate the podcast, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And again, thank you for listening. I really, really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.